How's it going? So at the moment I cannot offer a solution outside of dodging. Um, Basically the question is, how do you carry Omega feeders? How do you carry Omega feeders? And the answer is, I have no solution at the moment. Because the problem is, they don't do anything other than just die. They offer no damage. They are always, when basically at critical points in the game, at which the outcome of the game is decided, such as dragon fights, Baron fights, pushing the lanes. If the enemy invades your jungle, helping your jungler, they are nowhere to be found. So you are continuously being outnumbered. And when the enemy kind of goes and kills, let's say, I don't know, let's say the 5 versus 3 us, 2 of us escape, 1 of us dies, right? We run out of resources to fight the enemy. For some reason, these guys at that point decide to be like, I'm gonna avenge my team or something like that, and they go and they just die for free. And a lot of times what happens is, like, I try to, I don't know, split push. It doesn't help because, again, you run into this problem where they can just leave their lanes and 5 men chase you, and nothing is gonna happen on the map. Do you understand? Like, they don't get punished. Like, for example, you could play with a shit jungler and you could kill their jungler 4 times. I remember we were playing against Master Yi. I killed him 4 times. And I had Kayn and he was still behind on farm somehow. I couldn't, like, it's just, do you understand? Like, they're just elo hell, basically. Elo hell. Like, at some point, the player is so bad that it's just impossible to carry them. It's just impossible. The only way to do is just to dodge. Now, my problem at the moment, I think, is because I'm playing. Basically, when you see on Professor, when you see players like this, you have to dodge. You have to dodge. Unless you have 4 Smurfs, I'm talking about 75+% win rate, they are on roll, and the enemy team looks very, very bad, you have to understand that these players are going to feed the gold to the enemy, so you have to 4v5 them, and they're gonna have free kills on one of your players, which is gonna be one of the feeders. So basically, like, there are... One sec. Okay, so you basically have 3 type of kind of feeders. There's like 3 category. In my head I have for them, right? So there are soft feeders, but if your team is stacked with good 2 Smurfs, you can still have them on your team, and you're still gonna win, because they play overpowered champion, and they kind of... Their KDA is still okay. It's like 1. You know, he doesn't really do anything, but... he doesn't feed that much, right? It's playable if your team is stacked. Okay, so I'll give you some examples of players like this. One sec, let me just find it. Yeah, so something like this. You see, they have Omega shit win rate, but their KDA is good. And they have a lot of games, which means they have experience. So they're gonna be somewhat useful in a game. They're not gonna feed, they're gonna be somewhat useful. They're gonna miss position, they're not gonna listen to calls, but they're gonna be there. I'm talking about they will be on the map and you will feel that they are there. Alright, so let me find another one. Yeah, so something like this again. You see, many games, KDA is kind of okay, decent. He actually has pretty good 2 KDA. And the champ is OP. Alright, so when teamfights break down, we know that noobs love to teamfight, so he's gonna run in, he's gonna press his Q, he's gonna press his R. He's still gonna be present on the map, and he's gonna be doing something, and he's probably gonna be building correctly. Alright, so with these guys, and I'm saying if your team is stacked, I'm talking about like you have really, really good players on your team, overpowered champions, everybody's on roll, you can carry the guy like that. You can carry. It's gonna be a bit of a problem, but it's fine. You know, it's kind of like playable to some extent, right? Now, then you have heart feeders. I call them heart feeders. They will play something like Riven, Zed, Yasuo, you know, something that is very, very hard to play. They are gonna be like really low rank, like bronze, iron. They have omega bad KDA, and usually low number of games. Well, sometimes they have a lot of games. Basically, they are gonna run it down. You have to dodge them. There is no way. There is no, because they're gonna feed so much. They're basically like, imagine it's like it's equivalent to adding a cannon wave, extra cannon per wave to enemy every second wave. So do you understand the gold generation? Well, like think about it this way, right? Right now, every third wave is a cannon, right? And that cannon gives you like what, 86 or 85 gold, all right? These guys basically, it's like removing a person from your team. So now you have 4 teammates, and adding a cannon per wave into every second. So every second and every third is now going to be a cannon. So you see, gold generation for the enemy team is going to be higher. So not only do they have one extra player, they also have higher income than you. And also the problem is they sometimes get tilted, players like this, and they start roaming, so they're gonna be stealing your experience. So now you're losing money on the experience. So you're losing basically experience. They can sometimes take your wave as well. They basically gonna solo lose you the game. There is no way to carry them. It's like it's way, unless you're pre-made with 4 players who are all Smurfs. It's very, very hard, and it's like it's not fun to play with them. Very, very hard. Can't do anything with these guys. Oh, let me find some examples. 1 sec. Yeah, so look, a player like this, you see, has very bad win rate, a lot of games, and negative KDA. He has 0.5 KDA. He is going to run it down. You see, in 30 games he played 40, and he won only 7. He's playing Aurelia, which is a difficult champion. So he's gonna just run it down straight up. So, like, you have to dodge them. There's no way to carry them. Like, there's just no hope at all. Let me find you another one. 1 sec. Yeah, another player like this. You see, like, he's playing Zed, and he averages 15 deaths per game, so his KDA is point. So every time he kills somebody, he dies 4 to 5 times, and he's like never wins at all. So you cannot play with a player like this. It's not possible to carry something like this. It's not a problem of skill. It's a problem of the game design, and you just have to dodge. You have to dodge these players. They're like heart feeders. There's just nothing you can do for them, you know. And final one are the first timers. I used to kind of think they're 50%. They're like coin flip. Man, they're basically heart feeders as well. Like, they're gonna feed hard. Like, they're gonna end up with like 14 deaths, like 15 deaths, 20 deaths, no problem, because they have no idea what they're doing. And especially they normally play difficult champions, like shit like Kayle, you know, Zed, Aurelia, Yasuo, Riven, Nunu jungle. What's another one? That Kindred jungle. Do you understand? Like, these champions are not noob champions. You have to play around their weaknesses, and they first timing it, like, they don't even know what abilities do, so they're gonna be not on the map. They're just gonna be dead all the time. So like these two, basically, you have to dodge. There's no way around it. Like, there's just no way to win a game with them on your team. With soft feeders, again, if your team is stacked, it's still a risk, but I mean, you can get away with it. For example, like I was playing with Amumu. He was 25% win rate. His KDA was like 1.3, I think. But because he was playing Amumu, he was still useful. So I was like smashing everyone, and in team fights, again, he just has to press ult, and he was pressing ult, and that's it. So despite the fact that he was not winning a lot, he was still useful. But in a game like this, like, the reason why I'm making this video is because we lost the game yesterday. Like, I couldn't believe it, we lost it. But like, because I'm trying to understand, I'm doing basically, it's called RCA. One second. So you see, every time I lose a game, I'm trying to go through, it's called root cause analysis. So when you're doing computer science, you're doing tickets, you're solving problems in like enterprise architecture. Because the problem can be anywhere, and you need to find what is the root cause. So in these games, I'm trying to understand the root cause, basically. Why is it that the game was like... It was obviously a winnable game. Obviously winnable. They had no jungler. Do you understand? Like, look at their team. They had no jungler. And I thought, okay, like, our jungler... Like, this guy has very good... he was playing really well. He has 75% win rate on. That was his only loss, I think, right? On Evelyn. Yeah, so you see he has 75% win rate. He was very, very good. He was doing exactly what he was supposed to do. So I was like, okay, that's an easy clap because we took all the dragons. Because, I mean, they have no jungler. How are they going to take dragons, right? But when I went into the game, these three players were, like, Ashe and Blitzcrank were like this. They were like this, basically. So it was my mistake to go into the game. Like, I had a bad feeling about it because you have to understand, Ashe is a useless champion unless you know how to play. She does no damage. She's extremely squishy. No escape. And if you miss position, she can get one-shot. Now, our Blitzcrank, again, he was doing... I mean, I don't know what he was building, but again, you have to understand that these guys can... They can start doing, like, Poppy AD with a critical strike. Do you understand? Like, they're just doing weird shit. So they are gonna be, like, hard feeding, and Zed was the same. He was just... He was doing nothing. Like, literally, he was doing nothing. Now, the only kind of... the problem we had in this game, basically, was like this. Aatrox is a noob champ. Even though I smashed him, like, top lane, he basically couldn't play top lane at all. But he's playing a noob champ. Aatrox is a noob champ, right? And then this Malzahar, Zed kind of killed him many, many times because I don't think they... I mean, Zed level 6s, come on. You press your R, you smash your keyboard, you ignite, and the guy dies. I mean, it's not that difficult, right? So he died a lot of times, but you have to understand, Malzahar has crowd control. It's a point-and-click ability, I cannot cleanse it. So he was useful in team fights. And then they had two crowd control and one Omega fed Jhin. And you think to yourself, how were they playing? They basically went Jhin and two supports bot lane, and somehow that worked. Do you understand? Like, because I know for a fact that you can't really... For example, you can't go two people top because you're automatically gonna lose the game. Because of the experience. Because I played myself 1v2 on Aram as Tryndamere, and certain matchups you can 1v2. And the problem is because you gain more experience, and and you are funneling money into one champion, but they have to split the money and experience between two champions. So when at some point in time you simply outscale them so you can 1v2 them. And going with three champions into the lane like this, there is no way this should work. There is no way. But it worked, and I was thinking to myself, okay, so how did this happen? Even though we got all the dragons, how did this happen? And this happened because these guys are this. So you have to think to yourself, like, okay, how does 4v5 happen? How can you win the game 4v5? This is because the enemy most likely has these players. With these guys, anything is going to work. I'm talking about when you're playing against them, they are pretty much bots. So you can do anything into this. You can do Soroka AD into this, is going to work. You can do Tank Jax, it's going to work. You can do Sion AD, it's going to work. Critical Sticks is going to work. Anything is going to work. Because they have no idea what they're doing. Like, these guys are just beyond. Like, this is Elo Hell guys. Like, I'm talking about. They belong in Elo Hell. Like, they're just so bad that you simply. They're uncarryable. And practically anything is going to work against them. Right? So. Like, the only solution is just to dodge them. Honestly, these guys should simply play solo game, because if they're not willing to read champion abilities, they're not willing to read the runes, they're not willing to absorb information, learn the matchups, learn how to CS, learn how to wave manage. Like, they should simply play something where the teammates are not dependent on them to be in the game, because they're just gonna be feeding. It's like they're just bots basically, and that's about it. It's like, imagine you playing a game, you are in a team with two other players, with you and another human, with 3 bots. So the enemy team is full of okay players, okay to good players, but you have 3 bots on your team. You understand that you can't win. It's just, there is no way. An enemy can do practically anything. So they can do 3-man bot and they're still gonna win. And our problem we had, okay, so our win conditions here, so basically we were playing with 2 players versus, I'd say maybe 4 players. Because Atrix he was just split pushing all the time. I think he got tilted from top lane. He also got ganked a couple times by Evelynn, so, I mean, he couldn't play. When it was the laning phase, he just couldn't play. But the problem was happening, our win condition was to kill Jhin, right? Once we killed Jhin, me and her were able to clean up the rest, except for Aatrox. Aatrox was just split pushing. So sometimes we would trade myself and her for Jhin and all of them. So do you understand? We traded 2 for 4, which is exceptionally good. But then the problem became Aatrox literally just went and killed my entire team. Like the Zed, Ashe, and Blitzcrank. And this guy was like 0-10, and he went and killed these guys. 1 second. Yeah, so I'll link this in the description below, but this clip. But you see, like, they are these players. So look, the Miss Fortune. Oh, my apologies. Audio is a bit too high. Whoopsie, whoopsie, whoopsie. But look, there's one Miss Fortune. He's not Omega fed. He has like... He's definitely more fed than these guys, but there's only 2,000 gold difference. 2,000. And there is Garen, Nocturne, Jinx, and Annie. All of these champions can smash Miss Fortune by themselves. If they play well, right? But look, here's what happens. It's like disgusting to watch. And these guys will be like, oh, is Annie a bot? I don't know. Like players do that all the time. I noticed. Like these guys, they do it all the time. Like Kale, for example. Like a team fight breaks out, so just for no reason just decides, you know what? Adios. Bye. See you later. It's like, dude, where are you going? It's like he then goes somewhere when like half of your team is dead. He then comes back and then dies. I don't understand this type of behavior. It's like they could be potentially bots, but I mean, bottom line is just like they are completely useless. Do you understand what I'm saying? Is like in here is like you can see that there's 4 versus 1, and they still can't do anything. So they are going. These guys are gonna be like that in your game. So there is no way to. There's no way to. Like there's no way to win. Because you're effectively like. They're basically bots. So the problem could be is that it could be that I'm playing normals and there are a lot of first timers in normals and obviously hard feeders. So maybe ranked will be a better solution. I'll test it out a couple of games to see, because in ranked, I mean, they should be a lot more serious in theory, right? So far I haven't proven this theory to be correct, but I'm just trying to kind of minimize the dodge rate, because right now, like, I mean, League of Carry is working, you can get 100% win rate, but the problem is the dodging ceiling is potentially infinity. Do you understand? You can be dodging for like potentially forever. Some days it's just like you're just dodging and dodging and dodging, and it's so annoying. It's just extremely annoying. So I'm trying to kind of get to the level where there is never ever more than 10 dodges per game. Because at the moment, again, I told you I reached 92. Because I just kept getting players like this. It's just, it was, every single lobby was like that. And then you see these transitions into these games where it's just like what do? You can't, you cannot 2v5 in here. There's just no way to do it, because the problem is I can't cleanse Malzahar abilities. Like I just can't, and I cannot and I cannot cleanse Nami's bubble. So you see, like, and my cleanse only works for 3 seconds. And this Jhin was like Omega fast. Omega. And he was like Omega fed with this thing, so I mean he was like one-shotting me, so the problem was like Malzahar ults, right? I have to ult because Jhin almost one-shots me, right? So I have left like what? About 4 to 3 seconds on my ult. I have to then run into the enemy team. They're gonna CC at me, right? I'm going to cleanse it. And I have like what, 2 seconds left. So at that point you see Evelynn managed to somehow kill Jhin. Then I would basically 3-tap this and this, and then I would die, and then Evelynn would clean up Malzahar. That was kind of the... We did it twice, it happened. But again, you see, how do you deal with the fact that then Aatrox just goes and kills 3 players by himself, and then he took the inhibitor, and then it became a problem. It's like a problem. And again, you see, even though this player is not good, his champion compensates because he has the suppress. Whereas what do we have? We have Zed, who just basically presses R and instantly dies, and that's it. That was it basically. And these guys were just always dead, so they weren't even in the game. So hopefully maybe ranked will not have these players. So I'm hoping that the population of these guys will be smaller in ranked. That's kind of, I'm banking on this. So that you can never dodge more than 10 times. You will always get a lobby that is playable. Because I remember I played on Russian server as Nasus, and I had to dodge a lot, but I wasn't full-time playing League. So I remember I was like, for 2 days I had to dodge, but I wasn't like full-time playing League, you know. Whereas on Saturdays and Sundays I was full-time playing and I couldn't play a game. I had to dodge for 7.5 hours. Which is like, it's too much, you know. So I'll test it out, see if it works. and then I'll do a feedback on this. But bottom line, like in this video, what else do I want to talk about? Yeah, I want to talk about maybe engagement optimized matchmaking, because sometimes you play like in, I don't know, Platinum Elo, and you think to yourself, how did these guys get there? Card feeders and first timers. I think engagement optimized matchmaking puts them there. But yeah, another one is like, some people are like, oh, you know, we are so smart, we 3v5 the enemy team and we won the game. But it's not because you're good, it's because, well, you're still good, you still have to be good. But that's mostly because if you look at the replay, the enemy team is probably these guys here, who basically can't 4v1 unfed misfortune. It's you have to remember, like, these guys are just straight up bots. They're so bad that I don't even think they can win game versus bots. So of course anything is gonna work against them. You can probably 2v5 them as well. I mean, in here, like, look, you just 1v4 them. Like, there's literally, like, you can 1v4 them. They're so bad you can 1v4 them. So anything is gonna work against them. Oh my god, oh my god. Okay, so the bottom line, always, always, always dodge them at the moment. There is no solution to carrying them, basically. If you want to test it out yourself, create a custom, you and your friend, put 3 bots on your team, and then any team on the enemy team. Any team. And you'll see that you're just gonna lose, and that's it. Because of your bots. You can smash your lane, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can take all the dragons, it doesn't matter. Because the bots are gonna feed the enemy, and then you cannot 2v5 fed enemy. It's just, there are no champions in the game who can do that. Alright, so that's my rant for today. Take care, bye bye.